In a galaxy far, far away, there exists a group of fierce and fabulous women who are on a mission to explore the depths of pop culture. They are the Galactic Gals, and they are here to take you on a journey through the cosmos of entertainment. From the latest TV shows and movies to a trip down the Milky Way of nostalgia, they will delve into the worlds of fantasy and imagination, bringing you insights and analysis that are out of this world. So buckle up, cosmonauts, and get ready to blast off with the Galactic Gals Pop Culture Podcast.
Hello there. How's everybody today?
Hey, everybody.
Yes, episode 15. So we're coming along now. We're
we are
behind a little bit, but we're steadily climbing that hill. It's jam packed today. I'm telling you. Hopefully our butts. Maybe we'll have to stand up and stretch a little bit because this podcast is going to be jam packed with sci-fi goodness. So
yes.
I'm excited. Are you excited? Always.
Oh, I am definitely. Yeah. And so far, guess what? No storms.
Oh, yay!
I was worried this morning when I got up. I'm like, oh man, really? So
yeah. I mean,
it's moved on.
We're actually got a dry spell here, and actually we need some rain, but I don't want it to happen today. No storms today. Can happen when I'm at work and I'm not here.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot going on. I mean, in the fandom and just in pop culture with there was just the world. The world's just so much going on. I don't even know. Now this Screen Actor Guild Awards. Screen Actors Guild actors are striking. We've got a writer's strike. Apparently it's not affecting Doctor Who though. So people had been talking about how it might affect the casting of some American actors, but I think those actors have probably filmed their scenes already. I'm just assuming. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have any sources or anything like that. I'm just speculating. Which there's a lot of this season. It's been kind of silly. and crazy and a roller coaster. And we have November to go through all of this. And then
Yeah,
after
for
that,
real.
we have probably October of 2024. So let's buckle up. Buckle up and get ready.
Yep,
Um,
that's all we can do.
yeah, really. I mean,
Yeah,
what
and I
else are
think,
we going to do?
you mentioned the UK. I was reading an article now. I don't know where I saw it this morning. Anywhere. Make some more noise. It's okay. Just throw things out. He's just came home from work. He's hungry.
Is he okay?
Yeah, stuff just jumping out the freezer. But anyway, it said like Game of Thrones is still going to film and all that. A lot of the shows over in the UK because they have like a different contracting thing. So I'm like, well, that's good. So, for those of you that like Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, hey,
Oh
you're
yeah.
good to go.
Yeah.
So,
That's played very I loved the first season. I thought that was just a fantastic. It made Game of Thrones look sick to me. I mean, it was so much
yeah,
better than I thought Game of Thrones was. So yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2 of that. But and we
that
have
was my
some
fan
really,
club.
really
Yeah.
what was that?
Mr. Hyde said that was your fan club throwing things around.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I wouldn't have
you,
it any
man.
other
I love
way.
this coffee cup too. Hellfire Club, Eddie Munson,
Okay,
rest
cool.
in peace. Yeah. So yeah, I think we should just get started.
Yeah.
If I could just get going and actually share the screen like I'm supposed to do. But we have some Good Omens news that I find is really good news. And I
Okay.
know a lot of shippers are really disappointed from this recent article that just came out recently, but I'm excited because this article proves pretty much that they're not going to have a relationship, and that's coming from the source. David Tennant and Michael Sheen are saying that that's not going to happen, as well as Neil Gaiman. So give it up, shippers. Not happening. So David Tennant and Michael Sheen tease Good Omens characters even closer, but that doesn't mean close. That means like it's going to be like just Odd Couple close, right?
Yeah.
Right. The fantasy series returns at the end of the month. Thank goodness we have something to look forward to. And thank goodness this wasn't affected by any strike. So we have that to look forward to. So basically it's saying the stars of fantasy drama Good Omens have teased an even closer relationship between Angel Aziraphale and Demon Crowley when the show returns for season 2. The original run was released back in 2019. We already know that. And Sheen and Tennant, who created this lockdown sitcom stage between their work on Good Omens, spoke to SFX magazine and about how the relationship between their characters has evolved. And they said what's different in season 2 is because of what's happened at the end of season 1. They no longer have head offices and they have to report to, began Tennant. Because I'm thinking that's the thing. I think we're going to get like a more of an Odd Couple
Yeah.
kind of hijinks, which is going to be, in my opinion, I think that's going to be great. They're a very different position, whereas they were trying to get away with things. Now they're kind of free agents. Sheen continued, although they're sort of fugitives as well. They're sort of in between. But this amazing life that they've created over millennia, they're now able to enjoy it in a slightly different way. They're not having to put out on the front for their respective teams, which is different from freedom. They have always been the only two beings who could understand each other's position. Now they are pushed even closer together. These comments will be intriguing to Good Omens superfans, many of whom have long shipped to Aziraphale and Crowley and imagined romance known as the inevitable husband. Gaiman has previously resisted pressure to give in to the fan fiction phenomenon. Thank you.
Good.
Helen Digital Spy in 2020. These are two ethereal and occult beings who aren't really quite clear on what mammals are about even. I don't think that they're obsessed with complicated human things like gender, like sexuality or any of that. It's they're ethereal beings.
Yeah.
Of course they're not like, but even if conventional romantic love isn't on the cards for this Odd Couple, it seems Good Omens viewers can still look forward to plenty of charming interactions between the two in the 16 new episodes. Tennant added, Crowley has only one friend. He can have only one friend. That is a great liberation. Is also a great prison that they find themselves in. They have no one else. They have to come to rely on each other other than they ever did, and more than they care to admit. So I think that's great news. So we're not going to have any of this woke crap. So that's really great. And that means
Yeah.
they can, have the story like an Odd Couple style, which is what it needs to be. I don't want to see romance between these two beings, and I don't think you do, and I don't think most people that actually like the first season really want to see that, unless you're just
No.
strange.
No,
Right.
just leave it to fan fiction or whatever. But you can
Yeah,
have a
ship
close
who you want,
relationship
right?
with the same sex, and it doesn't have to be romantic at
Right.
all.
And I think
I mean,
that is
yeah.
I can't wait. I think it's going to be highly entertaining, these two having to
Oh
be
yeah.
forced to live together, which is very Odd Couple, And they were Odd Couple
Mhm.
last time, but it's going to even be more of that.
Definitely.
Um
I mean, one an angel, one a demon, and yet they find each other's best friends. I thought that was brilliant. I love that.
right. And
So
it's such a it's a very it's a kind of an ethereal Odd Couple, and it is. And yes, Kelly, I know it's idiots out there that thought the Odd Couple men were gay too, but there's also people that think Kirk and Spock are gay too. So there you
yeah,
go. I mean, it's the same
yeah.
kind of people we're dealing with. So right, that's right, Mr. Hyde. Sorry, snowflake, snow lovey. Yeah. Nope. Sorry. Not gonna happen. So
Yeah, not
again,
everything has to have that. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
right. And I agree with Gaiman, who's obviously I probably wouldn't agree with him on everything, but in this case, I
Right.
do. They're occultic beings. Of course, they're not going to be interested in any of that. So I think that's really great news, and I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, we get the picture of the SFX. And so here's something for our classic fans that absolutely adore Adric. I'm not one of them. Um, but we're going to talk about Doctor Who star Matthew Waterhouse was unprepared for show. It was a shock. And obviously he was young when he took on the role of Adric, and having to work Tom Baker, I'm sure that was not an easy thing to do. Um, and a lot of pressure. But
Hmm.
and he says, though, one expects that being in Doctor Who would be a lot of fun, and sometimes it was, but a lot of times it wasn't at all. And I personally think that was because at the time, Tom Baker was divorcing, or him and Layla Ward were in the middle of splitting up. Who played
Wow.
the second Renata. So I think a lot of that was the last season of Doctor Who with Tom Baker wasn't the best, minus a few like episodes, but it was pretty much like laden with a lot of drama because him and her were splitting up. There was a lot of, and he talks about that, but he said, speaking with this month's FSX magazine, which is available from July 12th of July, Waterhouse said that it was absolutely amazing how little preparation there was after he was cast, saying, I had a lunch with producer John Nathan Turner, and then I went straight into rehearsals. I wasn't even introduced to Baker. Tom arrived late, actually, for the first read-through. I remember him looking for the worst for wear, which, understandably, if you played a character for 8 years, practically,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna be tired and you're gonna be, like, a little grumpy, I would think. Waterhouse also admitted that he found Fourth Doctor star Tom Baker to be a very difficult man to work with, and that his first 3 stories as Adric was depressing to make. They were also very depressing for me to watch. I found his character very annoying, and that probably has nothing to do with Matthew Waterhouse himself. It probably has to do with more the writing and how he was told to act, his direction, right?
Hmm.
But I don't know, have you finished all of Tom Baker?
No, but I remember Adric from what I watched. Oh gosh, back in the day,
Yeah.
um, on PBS. Wow, long time ago.
Right.
Yeah, but I remember
Um,
bits and pieces.
yeah, and he says he didn't like to be negative, but I think the E-Space trilogy is absolutely wonderful, but there is no point putting a fake gloss on it now, all these years later. One expects that being in Doctor Who would be a lot of fun, and sometimes it was, but a lot of the time it wasn't at all. I mean, I can understand you're a kid, like,
Yeah.
you're going through hormones, you got other things going on, and it's like then you got to deal with these 2 stars, which is Layla Ward and him, having this, he's saying here has a frosty atmosphere. It's like, and he found that their dynamic together to be very hostile,
Hmm.
rowy and fighty. So I'm sure that's like, what's going on here? I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know I don't want to be in the middle of this. So I'm sure that was a very bad experience at first, to be involved in that. And compared to the season before that where they were really lovey-dovey and they were giving like each other lovey eyes, and it's in a lot of City of Death, especially that episode. It's like there's a lot of lovey-dovey eyes, it seems. But while Waterhouse character Adric was killed, the actor has continued to return to the big role for Big Finish audio dramas, including ones alongside Baker. So, I mean, I guess one could take this as, okay, he's really didn't understand what he had, and I get it, but he was a kid, so I give him that. It's like, I don't know, he looked all about what, 16, 17, maybe 18.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd be very excited about going into Doctor Who probably at that age.
I'd love it.
But at the same time, you get there and it's not all, you're just thinking it's not all magical, because what you see on the screen is totally different than.
Sometimes I do wonder what would it be like to be on a set like that and actually act, because of course when we see it, it looks flawless. But I know that's not.
Of course, they make it look like it's so much fun, and then I'm sure it's a lot of work. I'm sure there are days. It's like there's days where you have better days than others, even at our regular boring jobs. There's better than days, and I'm sure they have days where they're just having so much fun, and I'm sure there's days where they're thinking, "Why did I sign up for this?" I'm pretty sure that even Peter Capaldi, struggled at times, and he wanted to be Doctor Who. So. This is, I get it. Like a lot of people might say, well, why is he coming out and saying this now? Well, I mean, it's just basically he was interviewed. And granted, I mean, I'm sure him and Tom get along fine now. He's just basically explaining his experiences. And I mean, I think it's interesting. I was never a fan of Adric. Everybody knows that. I was happy when he took a dirt nap, so I had no problem. But yeah, and I agree with John. I think Waterhouse seemed more settled with Davison. Even still, like I saw that cringe, like on the Fifth Doctor's face of just like, oh my God, you're so annoying. When you can make Tegan seem sensible, that's pretty annoying. So,
wow. Yeah.
So let's go on to the next article. And I don't even remember what that was. Oh, this one, the one that enraged me yesterday. After work, I was having such a good time, just a good day. And then I'm on Twitter, which generally that's what happens. You get on Twitter and then you start looking and finding articles. And then you find this guy, Mark Donaldson, has written a really douchey article about your favorite doctor. So what do? Well, since we have a podcast here, I put it in my PowerPoint. So I said I put my red pen, right? First of all, really? I should have circled the way Shooty looks in this, which is a complete insult to his doctor. That's not his doctor costume. What are you doing?
Looks like he's playing basketball. That's what I think.
It's in Barbie. So this garbage article is trying to speculate that by his roles in Sex Education and Barbie, this is the doctor you're going to get. You don't know that, Mark Donaldson. And you also don't know. And you're also in your garbage article, first of all. Let's just get into this. So basically, what this guy's saying is that because he was in these roles, and because he was popular on the Netflix show, it's given the show a higher profile than it had in the past few years. That interest in Gatwa's Doctor era will only get stronger in the upcoming months as far as he appears as Ken in summer blockbuster. Really, it's an already summer blockbuster. Just came out, didn't it?
Yeah.
Ahead of him inheriting the TARDIS keys in November. So this idiot, this moron, he says Shooty Gatwa's big roles in Barbie and Sex Education can avoid a mistake that hampered the first season of Peter Capaldi's Doctor Who era. Best known for his role as Eric, I literally thought this read Eric Effing. Eric Effong in Sex Education.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
We're going to call him Eric Effing, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to go with. Shooty Gatwa is due to succeed David Tennant as the 15th Doctor during Doctor Who's 60th anniversary special. We know that. Due to the immense popularity of the Netflix show, Ncuti Got was casting in Doctor Who has given the show a higher profile than it had in the past few years. And you already said that above there. That interest in Got was Doctor Who will only get stronger in the upcoming months as he appears as Ken in the summer. You think that's going to propel like the popularity of Doctor Who? Barbie?
No.
All right. Ahead of him inheriting the TARDIS keys in November. And that is a terrible picture on the right of him. But they finally got it right with the costume on the left.
I agree.
And then, Ncuti Got describes his 15th Doctor as someone who's bursting with energy and uses humor as a defense mechanism. Okay. Yeah, we had that with Matt Smith. That's a perfect characterization of the Doctor, and it's fine. That's totally fine.
Right.
Like, I do want to make sure that there is times he's very serious, right?
Right.
Who has always been a hero. He uses wit and humor to face down danger rather than violence or brute force. Netflix's Sex Education demonstrated that Ncuti Gatwa has the comic skills to deliver the Doctor's freewheeling comic energy while suppressing a vulnerable side. Okay, but I don't think how his role... I've watched some of Sex Education, to be fair, because I just wanted to see, and I can't see him, the Doctor, in any of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. He does a good job at what it is. But I don't see, I can't get anything out of that. And I disagree with this next statement. That will be key in portraying the Doctor as written in Russell T Davies' scripts, whose best Doctor Who stories have always a rich vein of comedy and humanity. I don't know how this guy, does he have a crystal ball? Because we haven't seen him in the role. We haven't even seen him in a trailer other than just like 2 seconds of the 60th.
Yeah, where he says, can someone tell me what the hell is going on? The way he said that was
that's
very
serious.
doctory.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
It is. And I think that you're trying to put like your hopes and dreams on this article, but I don't have a problem with that necessarily until you go into and start basically crapping on a Doctor that came before. Other than if it's Jodie Whittaker, I'd be fine with, because that needs to be crapping on. But that's fine. That you want to say all these things, and this is your hopes and dreams. But sit there to do that to Peter Capaldi is absolutely in bad form. So
I agree.
So this guy's opinion is because he played Malcolm Tucker, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's overshadowed his biggest role. If anything else, it prepared him to add that a little bit of Malcolm in there. He wasn't Malcolm Tucker. I mean,
no.
I don't. This person needs to rewatch these episodes because he definitely wasn't.
No.
It says that it goes on to say this garbage goes on to say the 12th Doctor initially started as an abrasive and incredibly serious incarnation that had flashes of vulnerability and genuine humor. Okay. You basically just described the first Doctor, which was William Hartnell, which is the Doctor.
Yeah, and I can actually, to that sentence, I can say, well, you go live on the planet Christmas for 700 years and see how you feel after you regenerate.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
Come on. So,
exactly. Yeah. And the thing is that that's fine. He likes a very fun, happy Doctor, and I get it. Some people I like Matt Smith. He was not my favorite. His goofiness got on my nerves sometimes. But I don't tell people that you shouldn't, that was wrong. It was just another side of the Doctor. And everybody has preferences, right? That's fine that the guy has a preference. But to sit there and just smash it like it was wrong, it's not. The Doctor has different personalities, has something for everybody. And then I do agree. It took Capaldi's second Christmas special, for his lighter side to finally come to the fore. And that was fine, but that was the journey. That was meant to be that way. That's how you build up a character and how the character changes over time.
Right.
So he just going to say that Peter Capaldi, he thought Peter Capaldi was this looser version of the 12th Doctor. So I can't fault him there. But it's disappointing that he didn't come out sooner. I wouldn't have wanted him to come out and do that sooner. I think it made it more interesting that it took time for that to happen. Looking back, and then he goes on to spew more. It feels like Stephen Moffat and the writers were writing for Malcolm Tucker rather than the lifelong Doctor Who fan Peter Capaldi. I don't think that was the case. But The 12th Doctor's impatience and sharp tongue were pure Tucker rather than the Doctor who could sometimes have a temper but had good hearts. And forcing Capaldi's Doctor into a dark corner, he obviously hasn't seen Colin Baker either. It felt like the series suffocated the breezier, kinder 12th Doctor that wanted to show Bill Potts the wonder of the universe in season 10. With Ncuti Gatwa starting from a much lighter place, Doctor Who season 14 should avoid this tonal trap.
Yeah,
Garbage.
for real. I like the growth of Peter's Doctor because he starts out as grumpy, hence my previous comment. You go defend the planet for 700 plus years and see people live and die, and let's see how you feel,
I mean, apparently this person hasn't watched John Pertwee, hasn't watched William Hartnell, hasn't watched obviously they really haven't watched Peter Capaldi, not really, and they haven't watched Colin Baker, and even Sylvester McCoy wasn't always the most goofiest Doctor. It's like goofy doesn't necessarily mean good. So
right.
I really hope there's a mixture of fun and seriousness. I don't want it to be like the Three Stooges,
Yeah, I mean,
we just had that.
Even David Tennant in Waters of Mars, Time Lord Victorious. Hello? Anybody?
Right, exactly.
I mean, he was angry there. So
yeah. And I thought there was moments of fun with Peter Capaldi in the first season, and there was moments of fun in the second season. Second season, the Series 9, which if you guys haven't watched, we did do a review of those, I think two streams ago. Yeah. We've done them all now, but I think they deserve a rewatch, and I think this is a very, very unfair article, and I get tired of it. It's like every month, it's just like, let's see how we can crap on Peter Capaldi this week. Let's see how we can just, I mean, if anything, you want to compare it to Jodie Whittaker, because, okay, let's say that, because she was extremely goofy and it was bad. So you don't want to go totally goofy. And I don't think that Ncuti is going to play it that way. I really think, he's got the right idea. And obviously this isn't against him or anything. Obviously he's not saying this about Peter Capaldi. This is this idiot in this article in Screen Rant, which I wouldn't even call them real journalists. So
yeah,
there you go. But
yeah,
I had to get that out there. It needs to be said. I will always defend Peter Capaldi. Always, even if I don't agree with him on things, I would always do that. And I know there's been some doctors recently, I don't know if you've heard, but David Tennant has just lost his mind. I don't know if you heard about that gossip.
No.
But he basically has insulted fans that aren't, that he considers TERFs, which is like, it's people, it's bigoted people that support women over trans people as far as their, like basically trans not eliminating the trans movement, not eliminating women. So
if actors would just leave if actors would just leave their politics at the door and just do what they're paid to do.
And this is why I love Peter, because I know I don't agree with him politically, and people have pointed it out to me. Well, he was at this feminist march. I don't care. I don't care. He doesn't he's not on Twitter. He's not on Facebook, just, spewing it forth constantly. He's on interviews talking about, that people that don't agree with him are like, he's not calling them names and bigots. I mean, so, and even if he did that, I would still respect him as an actor. I can do that.
Right.
It's difficult sometimes. I mean, Jonathan Frakes, I love him as Riker. But when it comes to politics, he's an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is the world we're living in. Social media has made everybody open to seeing what these celebrities say. And sometimes it can be a shock to the system for some certain people.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the first time that happened, and I was like, it floored me, It took me back, but then I realized, well, that's their opinion, and I can still enjoy what they do except Alec Baldwin. He can fuck himself, but everybody, but everybody else, Yeah, even Robert De Niro, as much as he acts like a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I mean, I like him in Backdraft, and that's about it. But I can't stand him otherwise.
I've never seen that movie, but
It's a good movie.
I know
It's a good
Kurt
movie.
Russell's in it, and I love Kurt Russell, so I don't know why I have never watched it. Okay,
It's
so
good.
so moving on. Oh, my blood pressure needs to come down now a little bit. So I chose this because I thought this was a really interesting article. Is and some of these movies I've seen, some of them you may have seen and I haven't seen, but I think it'd be very interesting to kind of go through these and see which ones we've seen, and maybe pick one that we haven't seen, or one of us pick one that they like the first person that chooses gets to pick one they've seen, and then the second person has to pick one that they haven't seen. I just think it would be very interesting, and then watch it, and then we come back and review.
Okay. Now remember, we're still doing an 80s decade stream, I think, Labor Day weekend.
We are, but I don't think any of these are on there.
I know, we'll have to see.
Guarantee
one of those pictures right there, I mean, there's one of the movies that I really like, and I wish they would have made that a series.
Now I'm curious to which one that is. Anybody in the chat could guess of these pictures which one is Michelle wishes that they'd have made a series out of.
Yeah. My husband and I love the movie.
Okay. See, I have an idea what I think it could be, but I could be totally wrong. And it's one that I've seen. So I'm just curious. At the end of the chat, maybe you'll reveal it.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll just keep it to yourself. I don't know. So this first movie I have never heard of. I mean, I've actually heard of, but I've never seen it. But basically this movie's it's actually known for this person that Ken Russell, who's known for the movies The Devil's Tommy and Lair of the White Worm, which I have seen because of Peter Capaldi.
Yes.
It is based on a novel by Patty Chayefsky, and also wrote the screenplay but clashed with Russell over the film. So William Hurt finds himself journeying first mentally and then physically backwards to the very beginning of life itself. Sounds deep. Hurt and his wife, who's played by Blair Brown, and the rest of the cast are spellbinding, particularly in the rapid fire way they deliver dialogue and almost non-stopping outpouring. And they didn't really tell me what the movie's about. Other than he basically is traveling back to the very far reaches, the beginning of time. So I don't know. Was anyone in the chat seen this movie? Do they recommend it, or?
I don't know if I might have seen it. I remember looking at the articles, so I don't know.
I've seen it a lot. Like when you scroll through like stuff to watch, like it always comes up in like, you might like this, and I'm just like, okay, so when knows? So if all of these would anybody in the chat that's seen this movie recommend this movie? That's what I'm asking, because I'm always looking for some good sci-fi to watch, and sometimes you look at the cover and you're probably the same way, and you're just like, if I saw this picture, I'm like, yeah, I'd probably keep going. It doesn't sound like they didn't really explain enough of it for me to just go, yeah. So, but maybe I'd look into it later. But anyway, if you think this is a great movie, then maybe I would watch it. But I don't know. So I have seen this movie. It's called Death Watch, and it's a very interesting movie. And I thought it was very interesting because Harvey Keitel, he's very young in this movie.
Wow.
Have you seen this movie?
No, I have not.
Okay. This is one of those shows that, because I do like Harvey Keitel, and I think he's a great actor, this was the thing that got me to watch the movie. And plus, it's also sci-fi. So basically, it's about this woman that has... basically she's been told that she's terminal and she's going to die. So there's a TV network that she works for, or he works for, and they want to have Harvey Keitel follow her around with like a camera and watch this as it happens, as she dies. And so she initially accepted the idea for the network to basically make a reality show about her death. But then she reneged and, and then she fled. And the Keitel's character, she doesn't know he's part of the network and he has a camera and they fall in love. And it's a very interesting movie and the ending shocks you. The ending just totally shocks you. And it's a really good watch. It's very different. It's science fiction, but it's also very, it's very sad and very romantic at the same time, which is weird. But I don't know if you like Harvey Keitel, but
I know the name.
Yeah. He was in Reservoir Dogs, I think, and he's in a movie called The Piano with Holly Hunter. He's been in a lot of shows. Yeah. You would probably know him if you see him face on.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in a lot of Tarantino movies as well. I don't know if you're a big Tarantino fan. A lot of people it's kind of with a lot of people. Yeah. So Wynn says she loves Harvey Keitel, and this is a good one. And I wish that maybe it's not really a B movie, but it'd be cool to kind of see if we could watch this on the B movie stream, because this is also a really good show. It has sci-fi elements, so I was surprised to see it on the list.
Okay.
So this one, I have not seen.
I've not seen, but I know the picture. I know the picture of Sean Connery in this one.
Right. So that narrows it down. We're getting closer, and I think it's my choice. I think it's the one I'm thinking of, and if it is my choice, then I totally agree with you. That should be a series, but I could still be wrong. So yeah, apparently this is, and I don't know what this movie is about. Maybe I should have read this before we do these things. I did kind of skim it, but God, these articles are very long. But actually really doesn't tell you what it's about. Other than it's set on a mining colony on Jupiter's moon. Connery plays a marshal sent to maintain law and order at the colony, only to learn that it's a den of corruption in which he can trust no one, and where he must not survive for long. That sounds good. I'll watch it. Apparently, it's a loose remake of High Noon. So, it's Sean Connery. Can't go wrong. I would probably watch this. I mean, it is Sean Connery. He doesn't have a weird outfit like Zardos. But yeah, I've heard which one, Zardos? Outland.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you look up Zardos, you're gonna get a surprise. And I don't think it's a good way either, as much as I love Sean Connery. Okay, John Steed says, I remember Outland. It wasn't great, quite slow story. Aw. And then Peter Harrington says, it's a great movie, High Noon in Space. Okay. I would be okay with that. We could try a watch party, but everybody would need a copy of the movie. Oh, okay, yeah, stupid YouTube. They just take the fun out of everything.
Rumble. There's always Rumble. Everybody could get.
Yeah, but is there? I'm just wondering on Rumble, is there a chat feature? Because that's part of the fun. I saw I
think
crapping on the movie I just recommended, huh?
I think there is.
Maybe we could do it there.
Mr. Hyde might know more about that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, just a thought. So, okay, and I've never seen this movie either.
I haven't seen it. And I know you.
Yeah, I know you haven't. I now recognize the actor though. He was in Highlander 2, I believe.
Okay.
So Scanners, 1981. It's obviously David Cronenberg, who directed The Fly, which a lot of people are totally big time fans of that. So basically, it's about a weaponry company seeks out a new breed of dangerous telepaths called scanners for its own use, but the scanners themselves have other plans. I've never seen it. I've seen the cover a lot, and I tell you what I do. I just go on by because it just doesn't. I mean, I guess it could be 11 from Stranger Things or something.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that there's going to be some exploding heads, and I'm just not
Probably.
really know if I have to be in a certain mindset for something like that. I don't know what kind of mindset you need to be, to see exploding heads, but it just seems like that is what that looks like. There's going to be a lot of exploding heads, and
well, if they
anybody in the chat
explode,
recommend this movie, I might watch it.
well, if heads explode like in the Kingsman series, that would be great.
I was right. You see, I can just tell. Scanner's quite gory. Lots of heads explode. Okay, I figured, because look, it looks like his head is gonna explode. That's what I look like when I'm watching the news. You know,
or
that's
reading an article about Peter Capaldi. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Someone's putting down Peter Capaldi. That's me. That's how I look.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was good. I mean, I don't know. But John, would you recommend this movie? That's, that would be there. Yeah, maybe heads explode, but if it's a really good show, I might handle seeing some heads explode,
Yeah.
Depends. It all depends. Kelly says, y'all can watch without me. I don't do gore. And I get it. I'm not, as much as that I do watch some gory shows, I don't particularly love it. It's not something that I look forward to. Like, yeah, I really want to see that. That's just, I want to see an axe killing. No, that does not really generally what I want to see. So this is probably it. I'm probably never going to watch it. And I can tell you right now, just from your face, you're not going to watch this either.
No.
So that narrows it down. Let's figure out which one Michelle thinks should be made a series. And there's two that I'm kind of down to that I think that's possible they could be. And I'm kind of leaning toward the one I didn't think at first, but it's either one or two.
Okay.
So let's see if I'm getting closer. So I have seen this movie, 2010.
I think I have.
Yes, and I like this way more than 2001.
Good evening, Dave.
Yeah. And I like it better because it just moves better. The pacing's better. 2001. I mean, how long do you need to see monkeys, tear stuff up in the beginning scene, or, just see a spaceship dock? I mean, Kubrick was just kind of out of it. I mean, I get it. There's great scenes in 2001. It really is. But I think it's more interesting for which Roy Schneider, they go on with Americans and the Soviets, because in the 80s, the Soviets were like our enemy. So that was already interesting. Mission to discover what happened to the spaceship Discovery and its crew, only to encounter more enigmas, and ultimately that the unseen aliens are up to out there by what? Okay, so it's not just me. By Jupiter. The film is solidly science-based and full of ideas. The cast, which includes John Lithgow, Bob Balaban, and Helen Mirren, she's always awesome.
Yeah.
And there are moments of genuine awe. Yeah, I really think this is a good one, and I recommend it. I don't know how you feel when the last time you saw it, but it's been probably a couple of years since I actually bought the DVD. Yeah. And I really, like I said, I would much rather watch 2010 way over 2001. Not that 2001 is a bad movie. The scenes with Hal and the very end is awesome. But yeah, 2010 is definitely a good watch if 2001 is a little much for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you watch this one again?
Yeah, I probably would. 2001 is just so long and drawn out, but this one, yeah.
Actually, I think 2001 needs to be edited like badly.
The scenes for the time were great.
They
2001,
were. And yeah, I think that's what he was trying to show. Kubrick was trying to showcase that, and I appreciate that as somebody that loves film. But oh my God, how long do we have to watch this ship dock?
Right.
And Peter Harrington says, not seen this in years. Well worth it to watch. Totally different vibe to 2001. 2001 is very much a cinema movie. Yeah, I could see that. I could see this being a cinema movie too. It came out in the movies, so
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would watch this again. All right, so I haven't seen this since I was probably when it came out and we rented it on VHS. With The Last Starfighter.
Love this series. Love this movie. Yes.
Oh,
wish it could have
see?
been the
You already-
series. See?
Okay. See, I was wrong. There was another one that for whatever reason, I was thinking you were thinking of, but I actually thought originally that you were talking about They Live. That's interesting. So, I really did enjoy this movie as a kid. I have no idea how I'd feel about it today. And I don't know.
Good.
Is it still good?
It is, because I always wanted to play video games and actually have that really happen to me. I mean, how cool would that be?
And it's also it does mention that, and it was basically saying that they lifted ideas from Tron, which we're going to be talking about later, the original. And as a trailer park teen named Alex discovers that the creator, Robert Preston, who I love Robert Preston. I loved him in Victor Victoria. I'm sorry, he was great in that show. Of an arcade video game, he plays actually an alien being who is using the game to recruit pilots for an interstellar war. Yeah. I might need to rewatch this one. Like I said, I used to love it as a kid. I haven't seen it in years, but yeah, I would. I know you would rewatch this, so you would rewatch this, and we could talk about this for a stream.
Yeah, that's probably going to definitely be one of my 80s films for sure. Just because I love it. I just
well, you know what?
I'll tell
you what. We'll save it. We're not going to say anything else.
Okay.
We just know one of yours, and I'm sure that the people in this chat, if I know most of them, they'll get drunk or they'll smoke some pot and they won't even remember anything. So we're good. No one heard anything. Strike that from the record. So
yeah.
So, and this is another one I thought you could possibly mean, Enemy Mine. Have you seen this movie?
Bits and pieces. Now, my husband loves the movie.
Wow.
Because you got two aliens living on this or crashing
and they
on
have
this
to,
planet, and they have to figure out how to communicate. They did a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode like that.
Yes, they did.
Damon, something on the boat to Tanagra or whatever. Yeah, same concept.
And it was Jean-Luc, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's what?
Damon and Jalad at Tanagra.
Yeah, Damon and Jalad at Tanagra. So I knew he'd remember it, but he loves that. So
yeah, and I remember seeing this as a kid like once. I think after it came out, and I was always looking for shows, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it was different because it's kind of, I always thought it was kind of like as a kid kind of slow, but it might be one of those movies that you come back later when you're older and you might go, wow, this was actually a pretty good show.
Yeah, more cerebral. Yeah, I get it.
Right. It definitely was. So basically, Dennis Quaid, obviously, and Lou Gossett in makeup, which I thought the makeup back then was pretty good. You could tell by his voice it was him. But they basically shoot down each other on a hostile planet, and they're forced to cooperate in order to survive and eventually become friends, with Davidge left to care for Jareba's child after the Drock, whose race self fertilizes, dies in childbirth. Well, that gave the ending away, didn't it?
Damn.
Oh, dumb. Okay. So, I thought it was kind of, I don't remember it having like a big following, but I remember like being interested enough to watch it as a kid, but I don't know, would be something you'd want to revisit? You've probably seen this because your husband.
Yeah, I probably watch it now that I'm, older and probably could get it, but I never had any major interest. Not when it was on. I mean, I'd get bits and pieces, but I probably would watch it now. Yeah.
So I'm assuming Peter's talking about this film. Yes, two-handed fun film. I don't know. Maybe he's talking about The Last Starfighter. Wynn says, Enemy of Mine was a great movie, very moving. Yes, yeah. I've seen Brainstorm, and I have a very I just wish that they were able to be finished properly. I think because she died during filming, I think Natalie Wood, I think it suffered from that, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't know if you've ever seen Brainstorm, but it was Natalie Wood's last movie with Christopher Walken.
No, I have not seen it.
worth a watch if you've never seen it. I feel like it was just kind of because her death occurred during the filming that it kind of took away from the, some of the scenes. Because they had to work around it. And usually that means, I think they had a good idea, but so I've never heard of this film. And honestly, just from the cover, I don't see me watching the show.
Okay.
It's called The Quiet Earth. I've never seen it. It's a New Zealand movie. I don't know why that this was included in this list, but we're gonna talk about it, I guess. So it doesn't really say. Okay, so it's in which only a handful of people, usually 2 men and a woman, manage to survive a massive humanity-destroying disaster, but may not make it out of their love triangle alive. It sounds like a woman's fantasy.
Maybe.
Just saying. Yeah, that's who wrote this movie.
I don't know, but it sounds like a movie that came before a series that came in the late 90s that I can't mention because that's going to be in one of my decade streams. So
okay, yeah, don't mention.
Yeah,
because they'll have to do extra drugs and drink.
Yeah,
more
retcon.
Yeah, right. It's like Men in Black.
Yeah,
yeah. That's what that is.
If I had Sonic glasses, I could just do that in the camera, but I don't.
Sure. It says the strong performances from this cast, eerie atmosphere, and unsettling, ambiguous ending all made this a minor classic in its home country and a film that more audience around the world would see. I don't know if this would be something that I would just be like, yeah, I really want to see that. I just Quiet Earth was that quiet. I've never heard of it. Okay, so nobody that we know has seen any of it. So I don't know. If somebody go out there and watch it and let me know if it's any good, if you can find it. I have no idea. I have no way. Just check out Just Watch and look up Quiet Earth and see if you can find it.
Yeah. Got to give a shout out here to Gary because I miss his commentary on some of these.
Yeah.
So,
I really, I hope he leaves comments after. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. Like he's missed today. Hope he's doing okay, and
we're thinking about
up,
you, Gary.
Yeah, we are. So this one, it looks
like dough on the
Play-Doh.
guy's face.
Yeah. It's called The Stuff, and I don't know if you've been looking. I remember seeing the cover in DVD stores, and when we used to do that, VHS, rental places really like Blockbuster.
That's just wrong and perverted.
Yeah, it looks a little bit. That was a little clunky for that. That's a little. Yeah, good. You know what?
Somebody's got a problem. Yeah,
they need to be going seeing a doctor.
Yeah.
So this is a George A. Romero film, and I know Wynn is a huge fan. And I don't know. Maybe you've seen this. Maybe this is worth us watching.
No, I haven't seen it.
The Stuff is one of his most elaborate pranks on American mindsets as a gooey alien substance. Turns out to be so sweet and addictive that is soon marketed as a dessert treat in supermarkets. Before it starts turning people into zombies, that is. We're all dead.
No comment.
Kamala. Now we know Kamala's a zombie. That's Kamala Harris is no zombie. That's yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. Anyone seen this in the chat? Should we be forced to? I'm not watching it.
I'm not gonna watch it.
I guess it's watch. I'll leave here and go. I just want to see what is this all about. You know what? I've not seen the stuff yet. Okay, so so that's your assignment if you should choose it. Watch the stuff and then report back. And maybe if you watch it, maybe we'll bring you on as a correspondent to tell us how the stuff went. Shame
Oh
on
my
me.
goodness.
Okay, then that's your assignment if you should choose it. Yeah, watch the stuff. Okay.
Oh my
All
gosh.
right. So this is a good one that I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Another Dennis Quaid movie. I love this movie. It was so much fun. It obviously, he gets drunk and he gets put into the wrong person. And Martin Short, and because obviously the tech is being they were trying to burgle the tech, and so he got shot into Martin Short. And yeah, I love this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's Robert Zemeckis. I mean, the special effects were cool for back in the day. I thought this was a really cute film, and I would definitely watch this movie again. It's been many years. And Meg Ryan,
Same.
I think this was one of her first movies.
Wow. Is this where Moffat got into the Dalek from? Could be.
Yeah, I thought about that. Yeah. I think he does. Does he not mention a reference to this movie in that? I think he does.
Now I have to go back and watch Into the Dalek and find out.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does mention something about it. I could be wrong, but
I think because I think it's Peter Capaldi says a line that's something about that. Now I can't remember it off the
isn't
top
that
of my
weird?
head.
Yeah.
So
And or maybe in my mind we're thinking, well, he should have said something. Maybe
now I got to go look.
Maybe it's the Mandela effect or something. Like we think we hear certain things, and I don't know.
Does this film
anyone else love this movie as much as we do?
Time Mechanic goes, does this film end with the stuff getting a Bud Light style woke marketing campaign so the day's saved?
Oh, snap. That's sassy.
Yep. Everywhere I go, Bud Light's still on the shelf.
Yeah. And it's still sitting there rotting.
Yep. I won't buy it. Nope.
No, and it's sad because I was enjoying until that happened. The Bud Light the seltzers that they have, the cider seltzers, they're delicious. Won't buy them now.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's all they got. I'm not buying it.
Nope.
There's an original film, Inner Space, is backed on. Okay, so what is that? What are you talking about? Fantastic Voyage? Is that what it is? Yeah, ever since Fantastic Voyage came out in 1966, movies about miniaturized people going inside. Yeah. Okay. So that's the original. I've probably seen it, but it's probably been a really long time. But I did enjoy Inner Space, and it was cool and fun, and it's when movies were still fun. This is one I haven't seen.
I haven't seen
called
that
The Hidden.
either.
And it's got the guy that plays, and Kyle MacLachlan always plays a weird character, so I'm assuming it's going to be weird. So basically Michael Nouri is in this. Plays a Los Angeles detective named Beck, investigating a rash of violent crimes perpetrated by citizens with seemingly no motive and no prior criminal record. Well, that's okay.
That might be interesting to watch.
Yeah. He's joined on the case by FBI agent Gallagher Kyle MacLachlan. He reveals that the real killer is an alien that can jump from body to body. Ooh, okay. Gallagher knows this because he's two from the other same species and has been pursuing the killer for the murder of his family. Ooh. I would watch it. I mean, that sounds interesting to me. I don't know. Anyone in the chat seen this?
Looks like Peter Harrington said that Hidden is underrated.
Oh, okay. Well, this is one I'm going to have to find. And maybe we could decide on one or two from this list and rewatch. One we haven't seen and one that we've seen. So, yeah, I would definitely watch it. It sounds interesting. I saw this Martin Short was particularly annoying in this. Yes, this Martin Short always is annoying. Kyle MacLachlan and James Spader made themselves great careers playing creepy people.
Yeah. I love James Spader, though. Yeah.
I do, too. I love James. I was never being a Kyle MacLachlan fan at all. I always thought he was really weird. But James Spader, I like James Spader.
Mm-hmm.
He's always Yeah, I almost like posted your, hey, Michelle Burr, she likes James Spader too.
Yes.
It's like
I love him as Raymond
so,
Reddington. That's going to be his best role for me. So,
I like
but
him in Secretary. I don't know what that says
oh
about me.
yes, I have that movie. Yes, enough said.
Don't move on now. So this is another weird one. Not weird because I've seen the original, but it's been years ago. The Blob, the 1988 version. I never understood why they wanted to remake it, but have you seen this remake of the
I've not
Blob
seen the Blob.
that
I
nobody
mean,
asked for? Basically, it's obviously aliens that are blob-like that kill people. So it actually the original did launch the career of Steve McQueen. But I just never really that didn't really like
no.
it really does now that I'm a Doctor Who fan. It really does now thinking about it. It really does seem like a villain that would be in classic Doctor Who. But it's basically that they are just a form of bacteria created as a weapon in a secret military experiment. It I don't know, like why would you? The Blob was just okay. I remember watching it as a kid, thinking it's okay. I just never. I mean, watching it now, it seems like women go through that every month. To be gross.
Yeah, for real.
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
man.
yeah, maybe that was like metaphorical,
Could be.
Yes, Kelly, he is amazing in Secretary James Spader. So I don't know if anybody a fan of the remake of the Blob, but the remake of the Blog is already like why. And I'm sure you're out there. I'm sure there's fans. I'm sure there's whole forums dedicated to talking about the remake of the Blob with Matt Dillon's other brother,
Man.
So yeah. So I love this film. I don't know if you've seen it.
No. John Carpenter. Okay.
Yes. And it's not like John Carpenter, like Halloween John Carpenter. It's about a very thing that I think you can relate to, and it's got a lot of it's a science fiction movie, but it's got a lot of everyday you can relate to this, especially today. Like basically, it's the ultimate conspiracy theory movie in which aliens, their true form only visible through special glasses, have covertly taken over a complacent and greedy society. What does that sound like?
Yeah, really.
It's generally regarded these days as one of the best and most thematically ambitious films. Back when it first came out, while it did modestly well at the box office, it was dismissed by critics and seemed to fade quickly into view. And the weird thing is about this movie, it has Roddy Piper in it. And I would never think Roddy Piper is a good actor, but in this show, he's excellent. Like, I was like, I saw this after probably about 15 years ago, and my husband said, "Have you ever seen that movie?" I'm like, "No, it's got Roddy Piper. Why would I watch it? It's got Roddy Piper." And he's like, "Just watch the movie." And I watched the movie, and I need to watch it again because I've only seen it once, but it sticks with you. It really does. And it's definitely not necessarily a horror movie in the sense that like it's gore and everything. I'm sure there's some I don't remember, but definitely worth watching, especially in these times. Because as you can see in the picture, how it says obey, like when you have these special glasses, you see all the things, like you see what they really are and you see the messages of what they're trying to, like the subconscious,
Yeah.
And this also reminds me of what we were talking about last week with the Peter Capaldi with oh God, it just went out.
The Devil's Hour. Oh, Lie of the Land. Okay.
Yeah, like right. Well, how people are being controlled to certain aspects. So in that, if you like that, you'll like They Live. It's really like a really good science fiction movie. It's definitely underrated. I agree. Definitely worth watching. It's really great. Yes, and Meg Foster's in this movie, and she has the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen.
Okay.
Her eyes are so blue. Yes. Yes. I've come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. Yeah, it is such. Um, yes, he even says he was the actress in it with fantastic eyes. Yes, Meg Foster. Um, and she was also in a television movie back. I remember as a kid, and she played Ichabod Crane's love interest in a TV movie starring Jeff Goldblum as Ichabod Crane, Sleepy Hollow, which I loved as a kid.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
taking it back. And I haven't watched. I watched it a few years ago and it was still good. But
Man.
put on the damn glasses. Yeah, yeah. Wind degrees. It's brilliant. Yeah, and it deserves to be. I don't know if this is in order, but it deserves to be like higher on the list.
You're right, Time Mechanic. Definitely right.
What's that?
He says
don't need special glasses to recognize Sleepy Joe. No, no. Some people would though, and that's sad. That's where we're at. So, speaking of people not listening, I like how we did that. Not listening to anything anybody tells them. We're going to talk about two classic sci-fi movies, and this was the first time this week me watching this movie, and this was your suggestion, and I know you said that you absolutely love this movie. So
I do.
Let's talk about it.
I have the biggest crush on Michael Rennie, the guy who plays Klaatu. I mean, or / John Carpenter or Mr. Carpenter, I mean,
yeah,
he's this alien that comes to Earth, and basically warns Earth,
Yeah.
If you don't do what you're supposed to do, we're going to leave you alone. But if you act out in any aggression, we'll leave this world a burned out cinder. It's like, oh shit, But I've always liked this movie.
Right. I don't know what I was expecting, because sometimes 50s sci-fi can be a little bit hard to get into. Whereas be the acting or just the slowness of it. But honestly, this movie moved pretty quickly at a pretty decent pace. I was pleasantly surprised how my original plan was just, okay, I'm going to watch 15, 20 minutes of it a day and because I struggle with 50s sci-fi, to be honest. I there's some of it that I just, other than like Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Other than that, and I think I'm thinking, well, if this is, and so I started watching it, and the more I watched it, I got the more of a Twilight Zone feel to it. The pacing, the actors, that it wasn't just like, sometimes we watch some shows on Mr. Hyde's B movie stream that it's taken a lot of alcohol for me to actually get through them. But this was definitely not one of them. I do think it does. I don't know if you feel that way, but I feel like it has a very Twilight Zone style feel to it.
It does. And one of the scenes that I do like, now that I'm, older and see it through adult eyes and compare it to what we have now, is the reporters questioning him, oh, here's a father out with his son, and they're viewing the spaceship, which is his ship, but the reporter doesn't know that. And the reporter's like, I guess you're just as scared as the rest of us. And Klaatu answers, well, in a different way, perhaps. I'm just fearful when I see people substituting fear for reason. In fact, I wouldn't. And the reporter all of a sudden just cuts him off because we can't get that truth out there.
Right. It's still that way, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's totally that way.
But I love how he interacts with the boy, and the boy takes him all around Washington, and he knew all these figures. So yeah,
I was impressed with the special effects to a certain level that for the 50s.
Yeah,
I thought it was, it's not just yes, it's a flying saucer. It's like, but honestly, the way that they implemented it, I thought was really well done. I mean, especially when obviously this is Klaatu and he comes out, and then obviously they, all he wants to do is he wants to give them a gift. He just wants to give them a gift to the people and then speak to to who he needs to speak to get this message out. And of course, just like humans and just like people, they shoot before asking questions, before finding out anything. And And also, I kind of got the feeling that, figuring this is 1951, right? So this is like right after, World War II ended.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still some of that being triggered,
Yeah.
And this guy right here looks like he was probably in World War II, and he was just like,
Yeah.
having a bad moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, they shoot him, and
Yeah.
but this right here I was really impressed with, not necessarily the suit, although the mask was kind of, if you saw that coming at you.
Yeah.
But it was just the way like they disintegrated things, as far as the special effects. I thought it was really well done, where it didn't look cheesy, like some of the 50s sci-fi just looks just
Right.
cheesy. But
Right.
anyway, I thought this was like really, I was very impressed.
Yeah. I mean, if I saw that and I was living in that time period, I would find Gort, that's the name of the robot, I'd find him
Right.
very intimidating.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And when he gets Klaatu tells Gort, some code words, and it kind of puts him like in a sentinel type mode. And then he ends up, leaving him there. He's going to stay here as a reminder. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
So,
and you think that they would get it, but they just don't. It's like I've never seen like, but that's true. That's how people are. It's like you're gonna do it my way, and so
Right.
obviously that they lock him up because they're thinking, dude, you can't lock him up. And that's why I thought that was really funny when like they said, you're not going anywhere, and it's like that smirk on his face when he like,
Yeah,
sure.
right. And Gort comes and gets him out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just think that that's, and they're obviously baffled because he has the same organs and they can't, but he's like, he's like 130 or something, but he's supposed to be like, like,
and
he's
I like
78. No, he's 78 and they lived to 130.
He goes and he solves Professor Barnhart's math problem or sends him on his way.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's right there on the cusp of it, and I wish I understood math like that.
It makes me wonder if like some of this movie didn't inspire like the Twilight Zone, because it really does feel like you're watching a long episode of the Twilight Zone. And this seems like it would fit in with all of that. So, I mean, on that aspect, I enjoyed the movie. I mean, it was definitely better than, and obviously this is where, he's trying to plead with the guy, it's like, just let me address who I need to address. I mean, what's your problem?
Yeah.
But I just think the movie is, and obviously they come in and they've realized, oh, he's gone. He is gone. But yeah,
I know it. Yep. I've always liked it. It's just a nice break from all the woke crap,
It is. And so I'm looking at this and I was watching it and I was going, obviously the woman on the left is Patricia Neal.
Yeah.
And then the woman in the back is Aunt B from Andy Griffith, playing basically Aunt B. Yeah. I didn't realize that she was in this movie, but she played the older lady in the very back was Aunt B in the Andy Griffith Show, which she basically played Aunt B in this movie. I was like, oh, she's the same. So I did enjoy his relationship with the little boy. I thought that was really great. That gave it a little heart, and that he's not just an evil alien here to take over the world. He's just trying to tell, like, you've got to follow these rules.
Yeah, he cares about humanity, and I think there's a scene where I think he helps him with his math or something because he's doing homework.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Later
on in the film. So basically telling him, you need to learn everything you can learn, because learning is the essential key to everything. It unlocks everything. So yeah.
The guy on the right reminds me of Richard E. Grant. Yeah, a little bit. The guy back here reminds me of the guy with the glasses reminds me of, what's his name? He's from he's in American Pie and Schitt's Creek. God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh God. Thank you. Eugene Levy.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Eugene Levy. That's who he reminds me of. Yeah. It also had a very
okay.
in a weird way, it kind of had a Miracle on 34th Street
Yeah.
vibe to it. Did you get that? Like how like the mom doesn't believe him, The
Right.
mom and the fiance doesn't, obviously doesn't believe the kid when the kid says, "I've seen him get into a spaceship. This is the spaceman."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, I don't remember the kid's name. Was it Billy or something?" "Oh, Billy. Oh, you're
Bobby. I think
silly."
Billy or Bobby or
Bobby.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Um,
did like the fact that he had to mention, "Oh, Bobby, your shoes are wet." And she was like, "Yeah, it's wet outside." I was like, "Yeah, there you go, kid. Tell him."
yeah. Yeah. And I like that when she was seeing her man or whatever, they
Mhm.
played the dating thing, just right. Everything
Yeah.
was left right there at the door, you
Right,
know.
right. There was none of that. I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen the remake. I know Jason has, but I haven't seen the remake with Keanu Reeves. I don't know. It just seems a lot more serious than this movie. Um, and I don't know how much they took liberties.
Yeah.
It seems like Jennifer Connelly, from just briefly reading it, she was more like of a scientist, um, than just a secretary.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, in this movie, that she works for the government, I believe, right? Patricia Neal's
I think
character,
so. Yeah. Or no, she
which
works
would
for
make
Professor Barnhart, I thought.
oh yeah, okay, maybe
Yeah.
I missed that. Okay, so and this is a scene you were talking about
Yeah.
earlier.
Yes. Because he looks like father and son there. And I do agree with Time Mechanic. He said Rennie reminds him a lot of Rod Serling. That's who I think of too when I
Yeah.
see him. So yeah.
There was a
Um
point, and you guys will definitely make fun of me, which is fine. That's I would have it either way. But I was like looking at Klaatu, and I thought, just from certain angles, I'm like, it kind of looks like Alice Cooper without makeup.
well,
I could
yeah.
see Vincent Furnier, like how he looked without makeup when he was younger, looks very similar. So I'm just like, at some point I kept thinking, oh, he really does look like Vincent Furnier, which he wasn't a bad looking guy. Alice Cooper, actually, when he was younger, was not a bad looking dude.
Wow.
Um, Shocking, but no, when he didn't, I had years of having that makeup on over and over again.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, um, so sometimes when I'm watching a show, I'll call it by who I think they look like. So it'll be like, okay, so
Yeah.
Alice Cooper. Um, so here's the scene where you're talking about how he's
Yeah.
solving the puzzle for Professor Bernhardt, and just when later when they meet, and just the look on the guy's face is hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that I wouldn't be able to solve any of that. Not even the parentheses are just confusing to me. Like, I have no idea. What is
I
that?
mean, I recognize maybe a few symbols, but not. I wish I could understand it. I know they have math proofs even to this day that they're still trying to solve, but
Yeah.
that's beyond me. I guess it's for those gifted people that may be autistic or whatever and can look at that and go, oh, write it all out
And
and boom, there it
no, I can
is.
say not everybody has autism can to solve
Yeah,
math problems either, but yes, there is some that's their
that they
thing,
have
that are
that
all about
gift.
math. Yeah, because
Yeah,
that's all they get obsessed with something until they figure it out. So,
I
um,
mean,
it's like some of them are into trains. It's just it's crazy.
mhm.
And obviously he didn't, when he goes and meets him again, he's just like, shocked that he could solve that puzzle. And obviously, I mean, I guess because everything's been announced, but he just pretty much accepts that this is the spaceman. Is obviously this is
Yeah.
probably something he's been working on for 8 years to solve this one formula, this one problem, and he just
Hmm.
walks in and just it kind of reminds me of the doctor. Like that
A
scene
little
right
bit.
there is something, yeah, that the doctor would come in and he would, solve
Get you
very
on your
quickly.
way. May not give you the answer, but put you on your way. Yeah.
And I like the scene where like he was looking in the window, looking at the problem, and he was just like,
Yeah, he smirked. Yeah,
that ain't it. That ain't it. You're wrong. You're wrong. Actually, I have some comments about later when we get to talk about the spaceship. What I think, what I was like, wow, that looks really cool. And obviously, you know, she's having issues with him hanging out with her son. Which I
yeah,
did think was weird, even in the 50s, you know, somebody like, here's a grown man and you're just gonna send your kid off with him. Like you just met
yeah.
him.
But back then, people were so trusting of other adults to look after
I
kids.
know,
So,
and I think things happened back then, and I think
mhm,
things happened because people were so trusting.
could be, could
You
very
know,
well
I
be.
just think
Now, I mean,
people.
even when I go out now, and if I'm with any of my kids, I'm still constantly watching. My kids are
Oh
grown and
yeah,
can handle themselves, but that's just not
I,
me.
I would say you should go out and you should be if you don't know somebody, be very even if people you know sometimes, but be very wary of
Oh yeah,
be very wary of people and your surroundings. Know what's going on around you all the time. It's important to
definitely,
do that.
definitely.
And obviously this is where Bobby or whatever sees him going into the spaceship. Um,
Yep.
yeah, and he finds out. So, um, and here we see the spaceship, and it's awesome. I love the way this looks inside. And what does it remind you of? I'm
That reminds
curious.
me of like Japanese sliding doors,
Yeah.
Oriental doors like that. That's what
Hmm.
that makes me think of. And I love the way that he just goes and goes, "Nyeh," and the lights either dim or come on or
Yeah,
whatever.
I could hang out in that room.
Same,
I could it's so clean, and it's
it
just,
is.
you know, and I know it's gotta be making like a humming noise, you know, like there's a certain noise in all these sci-fi that, and I think
Right.
that is here too when you listen to the audio. It's that that hum that
Exactly.
even the TARDIS, like the TARDIS makes it.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah.
something for whatever weird reason, like normally that would bother me, but I have such a correlation between a humming noise and a spaceship. Um
It's that white noise you got to have. Yes.
Yeah, and you gotta have that. It's even in, Star Trek: Next Generation, they have that.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
little bit of, just ship noise, but yeah, it kinda reminds me of the TARDIS console
A
here a
little
little
bit.
bit. It just needs to be higher up, more of a simplified, you know?
And
Um,
that was
but I
long
do.
before Doctor Who ever came out.
Yeah. All it needs is
So,
circles, and I'll be like, "Wow."
yeah.
But it's a very simplistic, and I like the lighting, the way the director, that the lighting, they had the lighting done, and just how
Mhm.
he looks, you know, it's very cool. I mean, they did a really good job. Um, you know, I'm sure this movie inspired thousands of other movies afterward,
I'm
you know.
sure. Yeah.
I mentioned also for the great soundtrack for this film. Yes, Peter Harrington says almost TARDIS like sort of.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I like the buttons, and I like blinky lights too. And I think that
Mhm.
that's something that's just aesthetically pleasing to people that like science fiction, or just people, and I just think it's and I did think this the scene where he's kind of explaining to her what's going on. Um and all the obviously the power goes out, which is terrifying, I guess, people in the 1950s. It'd be terrifying to me too, all over the world
Yeah.
going out. Um
That would freak me out. I mean, or
and you're
out
on a
here sometimes, yeah, the power will go out maybe on one side of the street, but not the other. But when there's a total blackout, it's
yeah,
like,
that's different.
holy cow. Yeah,
Yeah, and this was like
really
30
is.
minutes.
Yeah.
So, and they're already like preparing, you know, to like call a national emergency in 30 minutes. And I don't even know if it would be like that though. I think that I don't know what would happen. It would take here in reality, it'd probably take hours,
Or
you know.
I think it would take days here now
Yeah,
in our time
you're
period.
probably right. Maybe I was thinking of the 80s. It'd have been like hours, but since we
Yeah.
got uh Sniffles the clown in the office.
Yeah. It certainly wouldn't be what, the witching hour, 90 seconds to midnight or whatever, or
Yeah.
what, so yeah. But I mean, he's proven a point. So, and I think he proved
Yeah,
it.
and he had to do that because they weren't listening.
Right.
Per usual, people just don't listen. Um, and obviously they're onto him now.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot. And you know what I liked about this is that, I didn't know how it was going to go. I at some point I thought like maybe they were going to have some kind of romantic relationship, and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't go that way, which
Mm-mm.
I
Mm-mm.
thought was, for the time, I thought that usually that's how it goes. So that
Yeah.
was kind of a nice, refreshing change that I
Yeah.
appreciated.
He trusted her enough to tell her, go to Gort, tell him Gort, Klaatu, Barada, Nikto. And she did just that.
Yeah.
And that gave Gort his instructions, and Gort did what he did.
What would be really bad if that would have been me in that position? I'd have got there and said it all wrong. But that thing coming to you, that takes a lot of bravery to get the just mind power to get the words right, because you got this machine coming at you that looks like it's like just a really crazy, it's like almost like a Cyberman coming at you and just gonna like destroy you if you don't get it right. Yeah. Hey, there would have been like, I'd have been like Joe Biden telling him,
Followed with a sniff.
Well, no, it's like he says stuff. There's so much gibberish. It's like, give him those words and he'd be like chicken, corn cob, something. He would say anything but,
Yeah. And then fall. He'd fall walking up the ramp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
And obviously she does what he says, but she still picks him. He still picks her up.
Yeah.
I guess I was expecting that he was just going to stop, but he takes her in, retrieves the body of Klaatu, and then obviously puts him in a machine that would everybody, if or the Earth in 1951 or even now had a machine that would bring somebody back to life, my God, they'd be stealing that.
Yeah. For real. It'd be nice to have something like that one day, maybe some sort of med bed or something, where you can lay in it and heal, or use frequencies and heal, or whatever. I think that would be so cool.
The only people who would have access to that would be like rich people.
Oh, hell no. I say put one on every street corner like there are hospitals and pharmacies. But we can't do that, so I know
they have a reason.
Topic, so,
it'd only be for maybe for the elite.
That's why we need more aliens like Mr. Carpenter here to come and show up.
Yeah, so, sure, you definitely do. Both these actors' voices were amazing. He's resurrected. Yeah, he's resurrected. So then, obviously, he finally gets to, bring his message to everybody, and and it kind of leaves it at, I don't know if you got that impression, but obviously if you base it on, like, if you say that happened, let's say that happened, we sure didn't listen.
No.
And I mean, based on their faces, do you really think that they listened, or do you
maybe
think
for
that,
a little
in
while
this universe? Yeah.
For a little while, and then I think everybody let complacency come in, and let everybody do. They made up their mind to just do what feels good. So I think that's why
maybe part
now.
2 was Independence Day.
I
don't know. No, I think it would be interesting to have a part 2 where they come back and it's time to pay up. Would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what happens. But I don't.
Do you think that they wanted? Do you think this was just a one-off movie? Do you think they ever had any? I don't know. I'm asking you if you thought that.
Well, I think there's the potential there for it to be a part 2. I know
it should have been done back then, though.
Yeah, I agree. Should have been done.
Have you seen the remake?
I think I've seen it once, but I'd have to go back and watch it again to really look at it.
It didn't get a very good rating. On IMDb, I think it's like 5.5 stars. So
yeah.
I enjoyed this, though. I would probably give this about 9 stars. I would recommend it to people that like science fiction. It's definitely
Yeah,
worth
for
watching.
me, 9.5, almost 10 stars, just because it's classic. And, you know, yeah, I know they have the remake, but this one, over
Yeah,
everything. So,
definitely worth. I enjoyed watching it. It was definitely not as it wasn't as like a 50s sci-fi as I expected.
right.
Um, with the goofy antennas and stuff that they they
Mm-hmm.
used to do. Definitely better.
Right.
So the next movie we're talking about is Tron 1982. Um, Obviously, I love this movie. What
Yep.
can you say? Um, I love the idea that, especially as a kid, playing video games and thinking that you could actually enter into that world was cool
Yeah.
to me. Um, it still remains very cool to me, and I feel like the movie is still like stood up, special effects wise, and definitely acting. I mean, you got David Warner, Jeff Bridges,
Yep.
Bruce Boxleitner,
Yep.
Bernard Hughes is in it, and there's just so much goodness there that I don't think that when they did the remake, I don't think that they realized that there's a aesthetic that you can have all the most beautiful special effects, and which Legacy was everything that every Tron
Right.
fan like me dreamed
Right.
of. But when you get it, you're just like the story was just focused on Clue, and like why Clue was in it for like I don't know 2 seconds in the original
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
So
I think just looking at these colors here in
mhm.
this particular screenshot, and I think movies like this definitely paved the way for Ready Player One.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I've
because
seen that. I do.
living
I,
inside video games there, and
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
it's a
the
great
difference. I
concept.
think right, but I think that the problem that they have Ready Player One was had a decent concept, but to me, I think the actors just didn't feel like I don't know. They just like honestly, like there was more Jeff Bridges and then the cast was much more relatable. Even though they're older and I was younger, they were
Hmm.
much more relatable
Hmm.
to me than young kids were that would be now. It's just like it's weird because it's like yes, they were much older, but I'm like I could relate with more of those characters because they were just really good actors. And um just the idea that it was talking about like um corporations stealing ideas from the from creators,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is I see that more as an adult. When as a kid I just thought, oh, it's cool, like they had these they had these cool bikes and they had this whole very neon world, and that was cool as a kid. But when you start looking deeper, what the show was really about is just about correcting something that a wrong that needed to be corrected.
Yeah, and
um
AI making its appearance and everything, and the
yeah.
AI getting more and more powerful, and yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was really very cool movie, and again, the storyline was good. It's like he gets in there, he all he wants to do is well, he needs to get out. He was put in there by the master computer because he was hacking around trying to get proof that he created these video games, which he did.
yeah,
And then of course he gets zapped and he gets pulled in, and everybody has a player. They're the there's a that every program has a user. And
yeah,
then, he goes in and sees that Bruce Allen has a Tron as his program,
program,
which is
yeah,
I think is it's a really like cool movie. It's when Disney was actually making really cool like innovative movies that adults and children could enjoy, and it wasn't.
right,
And it had a message, about corporations and how they do lie and cheat and steal from good people sometimes, but they
yep,
did it in a very non-preachy way.
right. Corporations back then were bad. Now that whole message is like kaput
Hmm.
in the Disney world. Um, I know that David Warner, Bruce Boxleitner, and there's another
Yeah.
character in there. His name is Peter Jurassic. He's
Hmm.
the first blue character that comes in there, and all three of them they play in Babylon 5 together.
Oh, wow.
So and so there's that reference. If you're a Babylon 5 fan, you go back and the three of them there, and then there's a line that Bruce Boxleitner says in this movie in Tron, and Should have wrote it down, but I didn't. But he makes a comment about something, a Western space cowboy or something. And I'm like, well, that's funny because Bruce Boxleitner actually wrote a book about a Western space cowboy. He's got like a trilogy out.
Hilarious.
So, yeah. And David Warner, he played, he was looking for the Holy Grail in an episode in Babylon 5. And it's a well-written story. Definitely well-written story. And these three actors they're great.
Oh, yeah. I did see a funny video that Jason had showed me the other day where like there were some actors sitting around. Jeff Bridges is one of them. And he was like, one of the actors saying, yeah, I got really sucked into this video game. And Jeff Bridges, out missing a beat, says, yeah, I've gotten sucked into a video game too. He was like, well, which one? He's like, Tron. I just laughed my butt off. It's like, that's awesome. He doesn't forgot, like, that was one of his very first real films that like was kind of popular. I wouldn't say that's his first film, but that was kind of like it got him noticed, Yeah,
it's different to see Jeff Bridges playing in Tron and then turning around and seeing him as a Iron Man, playing the Nemesis in Iron Man.
Or playing Rooster Cogburn. I mean, he's very versatile. He's a very versatile actor. But I think without him in the show, he really did help. Him and Bruce Boxleitner really helped connect the show.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody else in it, but it wouldn't have been the same. It would have been written off as cheesy and would have flopped, But already, at the beginning when you see him at his arcade, which was awesome as a kid, I would have loved to live above arcade.
No kidding.
And the way the flat, he goes up and there's his room and all he had just, it was like a paradise to me as a kid. So I think a lot of kids felt that way, and just, he was in his element, and he was a fun, fun character. And then you had Alan, who was a much more serious character. And as well, even, the program in Tron was very serious. And while Clue, which is Flynn's program, is very dumb. I mean, and for me, like, I never understood why you're going to take a character that's not in the show. It's Jeff Bridges, but Clue, the character, and make him rise up like in Tron Legacy. Now he's taking over, which is something I didn't like. I wish they would have not done that. But this is, to me, is the ultimate. They really did need to make another one. There's obviously Clue in the beginning. And I and I have the Funko Pops. I've actually showed them many times. I have the Tron and the Stark one, and that's the only ones they've ever really made. And just the whole, like, the way that the outfits they lit up, and I like the fact that their faces were black and white. I thought the graininess made it just cool. It's just such a cool feeling.
It's all aesthetically pleasing for sure.
It is. It's like a comfort watch.
Did you ever play the video game when it came out?
I played it a little bit, but I never had the game. Yeah, I never, like, I didn't they come out one with Atari too? They had like an Atari cartridge, I think, too. But I don't think I've ever
did. But I hear they have this place called Game Terminal, and that's one of the games there. And I'll go and play that game. And then there's the other one that they have, and it's the one where, it's got the disc game, and there's like, it's just all the disc sections, and you gotta, throw the disc back and forth. And I like the original Tron game. So, and the light cycles, can never get past those things.
Yes, Jeff Bridges was in a film called Fearless, and that was actually a very good movie. And it was a plane crash. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw Julie mention him in Starman too. That's another good series.
I love that movie. Yeah. I love Starman. I've probably seen Starman more than anybody needs to see.
Now spread them, and he goes, put your hands on the car and spread them, and he goes, so, yeah.
And Karen Allen is in that movie too, and she was great in it. Oh my God, I watched the TV series a little bit when it was on.
Yeah.
And I liked it. With Robert Hayes was in it, but I didn't like it as much as the movie. The movie was so good. I love Starman. I had forgotten about that movie. I hadn't thought of that movie in a long, long time. Um, I love. See, I love this the scene with the cycles and when
Yeah.
they break away and finally get away, which was I
Yeah.
always thought was really cool. And I think they
Yeah.
have a ride at Disneyland, Disney World, Disneyland. Um, but yeah, this is just definitely like if you've never seen Tron, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but you need to like rectify that as soon as possible.
Yeah.
It's on the internet. It's on actually. You don't have to get Disney Plus to watch it. It's on the internet database archive, internet archive, for free.
Cool.
So yeah, that's where I watched
And
it. Both of
and
these
a
movies
killer
are both on
soundtrack.
there.
Yeah, killer
Yeah,
soundtrack too.
yeah,
Da da
yeah,
da 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 da
yeah.
da da. Yeah. I mean,
And it
that's just
actually has a Journey song in this movie too.
yep.
Um, Only Solutions, which is a great song. Um, and again, it's yes, there's some scenes that are very dated, but you know, it's definitely worth watching. You know, if you haven't, you know, ever seen it. Which, again, if you're probably watching me, you've probably seen it. Um, but yeah, so let's go back a little bit and let's figure out. So, of those movies that we were talking about earlier, boy, I really did a lot of screenshots with these, didn't I?
Yeah, I
So
wrote
which
some down that I'm gonna have to try to find at the library or see where I
and there
could
was
find
actually
them.
one that I missed here called Miracle Mile, and this one was I did sound interesting. I don't know how I did that, but um, so Anthony Edwards is in this one, and he said he picks up a call on a payphone only to hear that a nuclear attack is imminent. The time is best spent looking for the girl, Mary Winningham, he just fell in love with earlier that day. Wow. Not even sure if the attack is real. Harry watches LA descend into chaos around him and stays committed to seeing her face one more time. It sounds interesting.
It does.
That one actually sounds good. So, Miracle Mile, no. That one, the hidden sound interesting.
Yeah, the hidden.
Inner Space we've seen. I mean, I'd watch it again if you just really want the stuff. I'm gonna leave that to Win, and she can report back
Yeah.
if she chooses to do The Quiet Earth. I don't know what you thought of
No.
that.
No.
No. Enemy Mine, that might be something that I would revisit.
Yeah.
This obviously I need to revisit this one.
Yeah.
That one's good. No.
I might watch
Okay, Sean
Outland.
Connery. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
you'll watch Outland. I can watch it too if that's what you want. Which one you want to try to look for, and we try to find it, and we'll watch it and review it.
Yeah,
Do
I'll
we
have to
have
see if
time?
I can find it. Yeah.
So Outland, we'll watch that one, and what other one? It could be something we've seen. It doesn't.
Maybe The Hidden, because that sounds interesting.
It does. It really does sound interesting. And I did think this one, Miracle Mile.
Yeah, that would be good too.
And you should just watch They Live just because you need to watch like that.
Yeah, I do want to see that one too.
Yeah. So that was an interesting list. There were some that I'd never heard of, and you never know. You bring it to the chat and see like what do they think, you know, because the best recommendations is from other people because, you know, I can look at a cover all day long and okay, that doesn't really tell me anything. So, you know, sometimes I can read a description and it still doesn't, you know, do much for me, but
I can actually get They Live at the Library.
Cool.
Place hold.
You ever think you'd be you ever think you'd be checking out a movie with Roddy Piper in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rowdy. God, how did he say that? Rowdy Piper.
I guess. I'm not a wrestling fan like that.
I'm not either. So that's why I'm like, I just, it's like, you know, we have The Rock and John Cena, but I think back then for a wrestler to be in a movie, that was kind of a rare thing. Although the Hulk was in,
oh my goodness,
not the Hulk, the Hulk Hogan was in Rocky, one of them.
Yeah, yeah. I know I've seen Outland floating around somewhere, but I got to make sure I get the right one. Oh, it's an e-video. Oh, through my library.
Cool.
Yep, Sean Connery. I can get it on DVD too.
I mean, it's Sean Connery, so can't be all that bad.
But yeah, let's see. You want me to talk about the 29th of July?
Yes, I think we should. I think we
Okay.
should reveal it because, you know.
Okay. On the 29th of July, I've been friends with Canadian writer Joseph Malazzi on Twitter for a while, and I've invited him to come on the show and hang out in our collective and talk about sci-fi and horror and his love of comics and everything else. He wrote episodes for Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis. He wrote Dark Matter, which Andy and I are working on trying to finish. And boy, that's getting really good. Oh my word.
Yeah.
And then they just up and canceled it, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe he can give us some insight into why. And he's fun. He's a lot of fun to just chat with and everything. And he's I was listening to him talk on a podcast the other night, and he's always loved writing and but I'll let him tell that story. But he's going to join us on the 29th of July. So tell your friends, you know. Yeah. Make sure you guys, you know, like, subscribe, share. Definitely if you have questions.
If you have questions that you want to, you know, come in the chat, bring your questions. I mean, you know, that's if you have any questions about, you know, if you're Stargate fans or if you like the show Dark Matter. I mean, I just started watching it not too long ago, and it's a really good show. It's so engaging. And again, I'm sorry it got canceled because I'm steeped in it now. I gotta.
I mean, he's an avid reader. He loves horror movies. He's always asking, you know, what's on your horror list, you know, this week or whatever. So yeah. So I know I think Neil probably really liked that too. Definitely.
Oh yeah. Me too, because I do like horror. I do like I mean I like sci-fi too, but I think I was a horror fan, but more than before I was a sci-fi fan.
Yeah.
So
there's some horror films I'll watch. One of them I might put in one of the decade streams. So
cool.
But we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, don't give any more away. I'm sure they've already forgotten what one of them was.
Probably. So
all right, guys, it has been real today, and it's been a lot of fun as per usual. So we'll see you guys next week, and then the week after that, join us for like Joseph Malazzi. Is that how you say it?
Yes, Malazzi. Yeah,
Malazzi.
Joseph Malazzi. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So
all right, later, guys.
See you later, guys.